So what is the setting for this game exactly? Well, that depends. What I'd like to do is make something that's fairly setting agnostic and has a system that can be used in a variety of different settings with a variety of different stories that can be told, both in a historical setting, like a medieval or, medieval setting could also include things like miracles, healings, sort of wonders as well. But also you can have a modern day setting using all the different aspects of today's culture and even a futuristic one. So maybe I should ask a slightly different question then. What kind of stories can you tell with this game? So firstly, one of the obvious places to begin is with stories in the Bible. Both the Old and New Testament are full of stories of heroism. There's tragedy, there's suffering, there's hope, there's struggling against different odds, and importantly, making the right decisions in difficult circumstances when all seems lost. In the Old Testament, the heroes of the faith tended to be the prophets. Their job was to represent God to the people, which means they're often standing against armies and nations who wanted to conquer them. Some of these conflicts were solved through battles. Some were solved through miracles and like demonstrations of God's power. Some were solved through skillful negotiation, and some were even solved through deception. So it all depends. The stories may have major Bible characters in them, like David or Moses or Elijah and people like that, but the player characters themselves would need to be fairly minor characters within the story, because they still make their own decisions. They can't just follow the line of the story, and they need to work out how to resolve the issues that they're involved with. So, for example, how would the players deal with being spies in Jericho during the time of Joshua? What would they do, and how would they be able to resolve having a whole city out to get them? Or what about being part of David's band of soldiers when Saul was trying to kill him, and being able to having a whole kingdom after you? What about being a Christian during the New Testament and during the Roman persecution, and you'd have a whole empire out to get you? So there's different situations and different things that people could actually explore. Because none of the stories should be the same stories from the Bible. Can't just follow the same things that the main character is doing. The best ones will have the main protagonists living their own story, but we'll also have the players involved in dealing with either the consequences of the protagonist's actions, such as David or Joshua, or trying to gain like an objective, solve an issue, work out what they need to achieve, while being pitted against other adversaries or situations. So that's one of the examples for a Bible stories. Another idea is like a modern day setting. What do you do if there is something going on in your city that needs to be stopped? What do you do about it? Do you do something, or do you leave it to others to deal with it? What do you do if someone needs help and you or your group of friends is the only people they will turn to? You can't just say, I'm going to leave it alone and hope somebody else fixes it. What do you do if the police don't want to get involved in something? Or if you can't get in touch with them? Or what do you do if the police are actually involved? What if there is corruption? What if there is a business taking over that is corrupt and that is bad, but the police can't necessarily do anything? But what do you do about that? Do you just leave it? Or do you just wait? Or do you actually stand against things? So there are possibilities. There are examples there as well. Thirdly, the last one is the future. So this is obviously a bit more speculative than the other two, and hopefully really should strive to be kind of as accurate and reasonable as possible. But, this opens the door to stories about technology, about how society might progress in the future. And if people wanted to, you could talk about Bible prophecy, the last days. But that's entirely up to you, and I think that kind of depends on your own, the way you want to take that in a theological sense. In all of these settings, the characters still have objectives, which are things they have to do. They have conflicts. that they must resolve. They have skills that they can use and flaws, and all those things are, what the characters and the players can add to the narrative. Those are the result of good characters and a good story. You don't always need to have magic to have a good story. Any of these could encompass any other genre, such as an action-adventure or a murder mystery or a heist or a political thriller or a drama or anything like that. So all of this presupposes that the character build and the rules are flexible enough to cope with a wide variety of situations. So next video, I'll look at exactly how to build a character, what attributes and talents I think should be there, and I'll explain how the talents and how they work. I'll take a sort of a quick trip into the first few steps in building a character from scratch. If you're interested in hearing more, hit the bell icon, and you're welcome to subscribe and follow the journey. Thank you for watching.